Hello everybody. How about watching a short video? Remember, it could relate to any one of us. So enjoy. Well, children, you must have watched the little video and noticed that little girl's undaunting faith makes us believe that every one of us has faith in someone or something. It is said faith can move mountains. I think we all agree to that. But whom should we trust? Whom to believe? And what should we put our faith in? So today we get to know Lencho, a farmer who writes a letter to God asking for 100 pesos when his crops are ruined. Does Lencho's letter reach God? Does God send him the money? Think what your answers would be. Students, by the end of the lesson, you will critically examine the effects of having blind faith, believe that faith can move mountains, develop such a faith which builds confidence in oneself, and read and appreciate given text, be able to follow instructions correctly and complete given exercises, make inferences and judgments. All your thoughts are really wonderful. But before we continue, be ready with your notebook and pen. And as you listen, you will note down the key words or phrases you think will be helpful. If necessary, go back and listen again. So today we take up the lesson, A Letter to God by G.L Fuentes, which teaches us that help can come in any form, provided we have faith and belief. The story begins with Lencho, a hard-working farmer who had unquestionable faith in God. He lived in a solitary house on the crest of a low hill. From there he could see the river and his fields of ripe corn which wanted rain, at least a shower. He was confident that his harvest was going to yield him huge profits just like any other year. His wish turned into reality as heaven poured its heart out. But very soon it turned into a hailstorm, destroying his entire crop field. His excitement turned into a nightmare. The damage posed a threat to the family's survival as their entire livelihood was dependent on the year's produce. Although disheartened, the family did not give up. Although a simple, strong farmer, he could write. He wrote a letter to God asking for 100 pesos to sow his fields again since his crop has been destroyed by the hailstorm. He addressed the letter to God and posted it. One of the employees at the post office saw it and, laughing heartily, took it to the postmaster. He was amused but impressed at such faith in God. To sustain that faith, he decided to answer the letter. He opened the letter and soon realized that it needed something more than just paper and ink. Undeterred, he managed to collect 70 pesos from employees and friends who willingly contributes for an act of charity. He puts the money in an envelope to make it seem like a reply from God. On receiving the letter, Lencho is not at all shocked, but instead requests for a pen and paper. He again wrote a letter to God and dropped it in the box. The postmaster opened the letter as soon as he left. The letter read, God, of the money I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. But don't send it to me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Now wreck your brains. Think of some key words or phrases that occurred in the story. Before we proceed, let's ponder upon these points. Number 1. Protagonist of the story. Number 2. His personality traits. Number 3. Location of his house. Number 4. What was or were his wishes? Number 5. What reasons turn his excitement to a nightmare? Number 6. Did he give up? What steps did he take to overcome the problem? Number 7. Was his indomitable faith rewarded? If so, in what way? Who was actually responsible behind it? Number 8. What qualities are reflected through the acts of the post office employees? Number 9. Lencho writes a letter to God for the second time. What made him do so? Number 10. Was he right in mentioning the post office employees a bunch of crooks? Give your opinion. Now that you have gone through the lesson, have you noticed that the writer has used certain words, phrases to make the story come alive? Example, Lencho was an ox of a man. What does an ox of a man refer to here? It means hardworking, determined, not ready to give up easily. In language, such words, phrases are referred to as figures of speech. We have a number of types of figure of speech. Some common ones are simile, metaphor, hyperbole, personification, repetition, etc. So here the underlined phrase, an ox of a man, is a metaphor. Now what is a metaphor? The word metaphor comes from a Greek word metaphore, meaning transfer. A metaphor is a figure of speech that makes an implicit, implied, or hidden comparison between two things that are unrelated but which share some common characteristics. We come back to the sentence. Lencho was an ox of a man. Object, lencho. Metaphor, an ox of a man. And the quality compared here is determined. Now let's start with some assignment. Given below are some extracts from your lesson. Find the metaphors and complete the table given below. The first extract. It was during the meal that, just as Lencho had predicted, big drops of rain began to fall. In the northeast, huge mountains of clouds could be seen approaching. You must have guessed it right. Yes, the object here is cloud, the metaphor, huge mountains of clouds, and the quality compared is to a mass or hugeness of mountains. Now let's see if you can complete the task. Find metaphors from the story, at least 4, to complete the table below. Now let's take a small test to check how much you have understood. Answer the following questions. Number 1. What were Lencho's feelings when the hail stopped? Question number 2. Who does Lencho think has taken the rest of the money? What is the irony in the situation? Question number 3. What did Lencho compare the raindrops to and why? Question number 4. Give a character sketch of Lencho. Question number 5. Why does the postmaster sign the letter as God? Nearing the end of the session, this task is for you to complete it as homework. Humanity still exists. This is what we get to know after reading A Letter to God, in which firm faith in God of a poor farmer and helpfulness of the post office employees are aptly depicted. Now you have to write a paragraph on the values in it in about 80 to 100 words and give the paragraph a suitable title. It's time to say thank you to every one of you. See you in the next class. Thank you.